All right, guys, so today we're going to be doing kind of a similar video, but another requested video I've done a long time ago. We're going to do this a little bit of a flare today. Instead of just talking about this, we're actually going to go do some driving and kind of get you guys out. We've been doing a lot of talking videos lately, and we probably need to switch it up a little bit. So today we're going to be doing the what to look for when buying the E39. But like I said, we're going to go a little different with this one. All right, the old E39. This is 5 Series from 1996, late 1996, up until 2003. And these came in many different arrangements. These came in 525, 523, 528, 530, M5, and so on. Other countries, 520, 518, and some other weird stuff, and some diesel stuff too. These cars can be very reliable. They can be a total freaking nightmare. If you're looking at buying one of these, there's going to be problems, period. You will not find one of these unless you buy this one, which is not for sale. There's going to be issues. And holy crap, look at the dust on this baby. This thing needs to go to the car wash big time. A lot of issues. And it's not that they're bad cars. They have some very expendable parts on them. So whenever I buy one of these, the first thing I want to do, while the seller is looking at me, I'll walk up to it. We'll take our foot. We got our loafers on for the shop today. And we'll push back on the wheel. This one doesn't have any play. Some of them you could push them back and it'll actually hit the inner fender well. And make sure, like I said, whenever the seller is watching you to do that, and that'll give you a little bit of leverage also when you're buying something. Now, these cars don't cost a whole lot. If you're looking at one that's pretty broken, anywhere from $500 up to $5,000. That's kind of the price range. M5 being an exception, M5 could bring as much as $30,000. But chances are you're looking at probably a 528 if you're going to buy one of these. And there's a lot to it. We'll start with real quick before we go take this thing for a drive. The biggest problem is going to be the headlight adjusters and the foggy headlights. If nobody's cleaned the headlights or replaced the headlights, they're going to be really foggy. It's going to be hard to see at nighttime, all kinds of big issues. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the engine and stuff on this, but there is a lot to go over. If you're not mechanical minded, don't buy one of these cars. If the car is a 540, I forgot to mention that earlier, 540 is another option. Get back in your car, drive away. Don't buy that. Don't buy that. I can't say it enough. Anyway, back to the headlights. They're going to be foggy. You could always sand and buff those. You're going to want to grab the headlights. We'll grab this one. Flip it up and down. If it's real wiggly, the headlight adjusters are broke. 99% of the time, the headlight adjusters are broke. You'll see this a lot. The fan shroud deleted. Don't get too panicked if you see that. Probably also be looking for any kind of coolant leaks around here, around any of the hoses, around the top of the radiator where it's crimped, from the thermostat housing, etc. You're gonna look at the threads on the water pump. Even though this one's new, it looks old. Be looking to see the state of the pulleys, the state of the belt, just kind of see if anybody's been keeping up with it. You're also gonna look back here to the side, see if there's any oil residue leaking down the manifolds. This one is missing the shields on the manifolds, and you notice it has the oxygen sensors blocked off because they're deleted, and so on. So once you kind of verify there's no coolant leaks, which there is going to be coolant leaks because nobody ever does anything in these cars, and usually they're pretty bad shape. But don't let that scare you away though, because it could still be a very good car. You know, I built the 525i, redid everything for about $600 in parts. That's not that expensive if you're willing to put some work in. I have all the videos up on the channel to easily do this. So there's many things to it. So the first thing I do is go in and start it up. And if we start it up, I'm going to show you just a few things here. And we'll go ahead and give her the old start up here. We're going to look at the cluster. What you're going to see probably is the ABS light, the brake light, and this little triangle, which is traction control. Now, 99% of the time you're going to see those. You can scan it with the scanner, and I recommend you scan this car anyway just to see what's even going on. The check engine light's more likely going to be on. There's probably going to be some little headlamp or tail lamp lights on. You'll be lucky if you can see the pixels on the cluster. You'll be lucky if you can see the pixels on the stereo. Those are all common problems. There's DIYs for all those. But your ABS lights, most importantly, is going to be this guy right here. And that's the ABS module. They do need to be rebuilt, so don't panic. It's about $100. So you're gonna eat in maybe $700 in it instead of $600 in parts in it, okay? Not a big deal. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna close the hood. We'll listen to make sure nothing sounds bad. As a rule of thumb, these usually don't have any issues really with lifters, anything like that. If you do, usually it comes out of it. Okay, so you take it for a test drive. Your test drive is gonna tell you all about the car, and it's gonna tell you about it real quick. So this car doesn't have any crazy problems or anything, so it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to show you, you know, where if it had all the issues. We'll do some mock-ups here, and maybe we should turn right there. Maybe not. Anyhow, carrying on, you're gonna want to make sure, first of all, let go of the wheel, see if it drives straight. The road's all wavy here, and see how straight it drives. It should drive straight. The steering wheel should be straight. If it's not, don't worry about it too much. It's not that big of a deal to fix that kind of stuff if you know how to fix it. There again, I caution you. Look at my head mount. Look at that. I caution you, if you don't know how to work on cars, especially this car, don't buy this car. It's a terrible car to buy if you don't know how to work on stuff. Now, if you have any growling noise when you're driving, you're gonna want to swerve left to right, right? Left to right. And if you have a wheel bearing problem, which isn't too likely on these, when you turn to the right, it's gonna put tension on the left side of the car. It's gonna put more force down. If you hear the growling noise, that's gonna be wheel bearing on that side. If you turn to the left and the car sags to the right and you hear the growling noise get louder, it's the wheel bearing on the right side. And first thing you wanna do too is get rid of the beans. Holy! And make sure it performs correctly. This one's all hopped up on 93 octane and reflash ECU. So we're driving along here, and you know it's been driving just for, well, you probably don't know, it's been driving for a little bit. We'll keep going a little further. Driving for a little bit, you notice the temperature gauge is barely coming up. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. Oh, somebody's dog. And the temperature gauge stays about quarter. Well, that means the thermostat's fell to the cold side. If you drive more than 10 minutes and it's not right in the middle where it should be, just be warned, you have to buy a thermostat. The funny part about it is, you probably need to buy a thermostat anyway because whoever owned it before you didn't replace it. All right? So driving along, everything's great. And usually I take my foot and I hit the gas, let off. See if you can hear any clunking noise from the driveline. See if you feel on the console, if you feel the console shuddering, that could be broken transmission mount, that could be a problem with the drive shaft carrier bearing, or it could be a problem with the CV joint on the rear of the main drive shaft where it goes on the diff, or a problem with your CV axle joints, you know, that go to each wheel. So there is all that. Next thing you're gonna check is the brakes. Coming down from, let's say, above 40 miles an hour, you're gonna hit the brakes. There's gonna be any pulsating on the brake pedal. You know, more than likely the brake rotors are toast anyway, and it's not gonna really make any difference. It's gonna have to replace them no matter what. But I'll give you a heads up, like how much, like what state of the car is, right? Coming down to a stop, even at slower speeds, if your brake rotors are really warped, it's not going to function properly. It's gonna shake on the brake pedal. Next thing, especially on these 01 to 03s, are they shifting correctly? Like right now, we're just a regular drive, right? Regular old drive, nothing fancy. When you're barely on the accelerator, about 30 miles an hour, is it wanting to shift up and down? All right, these had a problem with the torque converter seals leaking past, and they had a little bit of an issue with that. Let me pull out here without getting run over. Lady's staring at me like I lost my damn mind. And it's just a lot of things. And you go through and you hit the gas and let off. Can you hear any slack in the drive line? All right. So once you establish all that, just driving normal on a regular road with small bumps, is the car making noise in the front end? Like, can you hear stuff clunking when you hit small bumps and imperfections in the road? And like a clicking, or is it a clunking that could indicate thrust arms, bad thrust arms, where a clicking usually indicates sway bar end links and stuff like that. Now, if you have to test drive this car and you can't take it out on the highway and get up to really fast speed, put the shifter over in manual and it'll tell you on the dash here, we're in sport, and if you click it up, no, we're already fifth. We're in fourth, third, you already did the first and second. But make sure it goes in all the gears. Make sure all the gears function correctly. That's a little trick you can do if you can't get up to speed. Make sure the heat works, turn on the AC, make sure the AC works, make sure all that blows cold. And another thing is gonna hurt you too, make sure there's no cracks in the windshield. The windshield could be a couple $100 in this. It's not a lot of money, but when you're dealing with the car, it's not worth a lot of money. That could definitely be an issue. So next thing you wanna do is check the seats, function all, I don't wanna do it too much, I wanna break these. Function the seats and make sure everything reclines right and isn't twisted. Now remember, Jesus, on these 01 to 03 cars, especially 03, they had problems with the seat twisting on them. And this 530 actually has one mechanical seat and one electric seat, which may be better, I guess. So next thing you're gonna do is go and pop the hood back, open the hood, make sure you can't smell any oily smells coming through the vents. Now, more than likely you can, because that's just the way it is, right? If you can, you don't see any oil or any steam or smoke around here, especially around the valve cover side, look at these little guys and make sure these aren't ripped or torn or not connected correctly. Don't worry about this. That's gonna be like that no matter what. Those crumble right away. Now, if you just drove it, it's a good time. Do a couple things. Go up here and give the hose a little squeeze and make sure the hoses are not rock hard and make sure they're not full of air, right? Which could indicate a head gasket problem, whatever problem like that. Make sure it's not purging coolant out the radiator cap, and make sure there's no leaks from anywhere. You should be able to look down in there and see. Now, if the car still has a factory under tray on it, if it still has a factory fan shroud, it's gonna be hard to see anything at all. And like I said, just make sure, give it a once over. There shouldn't be anything going on after your drive, like smoke or anything like that, just like I said. Overall, like I said, they're going to be a pretty good car. They shouldn't be too bad. All right, so we're in here. Just want to add a few things. And there's literally probably 1,000 things I didn't cover in this video. One of the most important things is the title. Make sure the title is not signed wrong. Make sure it's not a salvage title. I can't really show you a title I have here because it's only Missouri title, right? So it's not going to apply to other states. You're just going to have to watch for all that kind of stuff. And there again, watch out for shady car dealers that don't have title stuff done correctly. A real small car dealership will get you in trouble faster than anybody. We had several, as of even recently, issues with that. Didn't have the camera with me. Couldn't really video it anyway. But watch out for all that stuff too. You're going to have a few things is going to be guaranteed with these cars. One is going to be the coolant system. You're going to have to refresh the coolant system no matter what you buy. Chances are nobody's done that. So allow for money for that. You're probably looking a few $100 to do that. Also, control arms. You're probably going to have to do control arms. If you're not prepared to do that on one of these cars, it's allow for $150, $200 for that and a lot of work. I like to service the transmissions in every one of these, the fluid, the filter. That takes a little know-how to do that also, and some jack stands and the right kind of pump and this and that. I don't want to mislead you. They are really good cars. The whole problem is nobody takes care of anything anymore. So, yeah. So I'd add that to it. But keep an eye on it. if you cannot work on a car, I'll say it one more time. If you cannot work on one of these cars, if you have not worked on one of these cars, it probably is not a good car to start with. There's literally 100 or more things to go over with. Things like changing transmission fluid. Has anybody ever changed the transmission fluid? Pull the dipstick out, look at the oil, see the state of the oil. You can kind of tell if anybody's done anything to it. You cannot rely on service records on these cars because so many people don't know what they're doing, especially the dealer or an indie mechanic. You can't rely on that because they replace something doesn't mean that it's good. What they replace it with, what kind of part they use, how they replace it, when was it replaced exactly, how many miles since then, how much time since then. On these cars, it's not only miles, but it's time. How old is the part? And a car that has a lot of plastic engine parts and coolant parts, you can't rely on stuff if it's on the service history, because 9 times out of 10 people do not pay for legitimate parts and it has some crap on it that's going to go out. So like I said, keep an eye on it. There's many things to look out for on this. That's gonna be it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. We'll see you later.